Another Ukrainian bum boy arrested for firebombing Keir Starmer's home. These rent boys are going to appear at the Old Bailey on the 6th of June. They're expected to arrive in a rainbow-coloured police car dressed in fetish gear and pup play because that's how Keir likes it. And finally, Labour have cancelled their women's conference the day before their main conference because men who have their cocks tucked into women's panties aren't going to be allowed to attend. So Labour have cancelled their women's conference because men can't.
Starmer, the man who somehow managed to turn the Labour Party into a beige wall of boredom, is having another meltdown this time because Katie Hopkins, of all people, managed to slice through his political mask like a day-old quiche at a North London brunch. You know your political career is in serious trouble when you're being emotionally body-slammed by someone who brews controversy with her morning coffee and uses Twitter like a medieval weapon. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free and helps us keep bringing you sharp, bold takes on British politics like this one. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Dark British.
Do I think Starmer has seen Angela's Furburger? Oh no. I believe, personally, my personal opinion is that Keir Starmer's gay. He seems gay to me. My gaydar goes off, but in a bad way. Not a good gay. Like a gay, like a Macron gay, a Trudeau gay, shady little bastard gay. So I would say Keir Starmer's gay. Yeah, that would.
Starmer, once praised as Sir Sensible, now looks less like a knight in shining armor and more like a confused dad in a Tesco Express, who's just realized the self-checkout doesn't accept emotional baggage. After years of trying to be the political version of oat milk and offensive flavorless and supposedly good for the environment, Keir's calm finally cracked. Like a student stuck in a group project led by Liz Truss.
And when Labour have finally decided to withdraw their support from their candidate in Rochdale, a gentleman called Azhar Ali. He was saying things that were frightfully popular with the Muslim massive up there and the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian mob he represents. Things like Jews were responsible for October the 9th and other wildly anti-Semitic stuff. He would have got elected for sure, but finally Keir Starmer thinks it might not do the PR of the Labour Party too much good, so they've pulled.
Let's talk about how Sir Snoozeret managed to stumble his way into yet another PR disaster. Picture this: a man so committed to avoiding commitment, he's probably asked Siri to define the word opinion at least 3 times a day. Man who tried to rebrand the Labour Party by stripping away everything that once made it Labour, and replacing it with a copy of the Financial Times and a cappuccino machine.
The mainstream aren't keen to carry into this week, which is the story of the non-English speaking Ukrainian bum boy that set fire to Keir Starmer's apartment, his home, his old car and all sorts of other things. Rumour has it the bum boy was recommended to Keir by Zelensky, who'd used him often and found his services to be very enjoyable.
And then in walks Katie Hopkins, armed with a thesaurus full of insults and a flamethrower made of barely filtered anger. She didn't even need to try hard. Watching Keir fall apart under her criticism was like watching a sandcastle collapse, because someone breathed near it. The man's got the emotional strength of a Jenga tower in a wind tunnel.
Keir Starmer is failing harder than cheap toilet paper. He can't keep his own shit in order at this point. He's lied about simply everything from pensions to taxation to monetary policy, and now he's going to raise council tax by 10%. He even broke rules during lockdown when he had his vocal coach over to give him some lessons. And she did a pretty poor job because he still sounds like he's got a major stinking cold, even when he's denying stuff he obviously.
It's not even that she said anything deep, she just pointed at the obvious mess and yelled, "Look," and suddenly Starmer shifted from PMI waiting to "why am I even doing this?" Faster than you can say pointless focus. Group Q could almost hear the gears turning in his head as he realized that having zero charm isn't exactly a long-term plan.
Here's the thing, Keir. I've had a thought that fixes a lot of your problems. So, you're looking to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, specifically Kyiv. I thought, why don't you get all the people that had a Ukraine flag on their social media profile? Obviously, they had to take down their NHS one and their LGBTQ one to put up the Ukraine one. But those people and the people who took in a Ukrainian into their homes like a little pet, you know, just for Christmas. The people that are like, oh yeah, we've got one. Yeah, we've got a Ukrainian family. Yeah. We've got a Ukrainian family. Yeah, because we're a better kind of person. Yeah, it's just who we are. Maybe they should be the ones that put boots on the ground over in.
Because here's the kicker. This meltdown wasn't even about policy. Oh no, that would mean Starmer actually had one. This was all about optics' absolute favorite thing in the world. The man treats optics the way a toddler treats glitter glue. Throw it everywhere and hope something sticks. And now he's shocked it blew up in his face. Keir Starmer's political journey has felt like a slow-motion comedy sketch, where every misstep somehow gets rebranded as interpretive dance. It's like watching a toddler attempt to move, confused and somehow a bit charming if you squint really hard. He started out as a human rights lawyer, which gave people hope that he might actually stand for justice. But then centrism happened and, suddenly he looked so lost, you'd think he wandered into the wrong Zoom meeting and just decided to stick around. One minute he's confidently promising to nationalise the railway, sounds bold, right?
Breaking news here in batshit bonkers Britain, where Boris Johnson has come out swinging. He says that Keir Starmer is a ball-munching, manacled gimp of the EU, and he's quite right, of course. Keir Starmer has now given away our fisheries. For 12 years, the French can continue.
Then the next minute, he's serenading investment bankers like misunderstood poets in a smoky jazz club, assuring them their greed is really just passion. If Keir were an object, he'd be a weather vane with a law degree and a knighthood spinning endlessly, unsure whether to face left, right, or somewhere vaguely northeast. Now let's talk about his opposition skills. The man tackles government blunders with the enthusiasm of a spoon, trying to fight soup, completely ineffective and just splashing around while the Tories toss out scandals like it's a national sport. And there stands Keir politely holding a please sign, suggesting that maybe, if it's not too much trouble, someone might want to consider turning down the corruption dial just a little bit.
Keir Starmer now says he's the guy that's going to control our borders. The same Keir Starmer that decriminalised illegal immigration, has prioritised illegals over our own good people, has thrown them into hotels and generally prioritised them for housing as well, and wanted to make sure that anyone who spoke out against illegal immigration was called far right and put in prison. But now suddenly he's all for it. He also says that those arriving in our country should speak English. Maybe he could go to Birmingham or Bradford or Luton or Leicester or any other of his voting areas and say that, because none of them will understand a bloody word.
His level of urgency sits somewhere between a sleepy cat and a British weather forecast. Lots of maybe, possibly, and we'll see. It's opposition, sure, but the kind that feels like a polite whisper at a rock concert, completely drowned out, desperately hoping someone notices. Meanwhile, Katie Hopkins casually steamrolls his image like it's a boring Tuesday and she's just looking for entertainment. She didn't need data or deep research, she simply said the quiet part out loud. Starmer, who spent the better part of 5 years mastering the art of sounding confident while saying absolutely nothing, suddenly finds himself exposed to speech and he has no idea what to do. The man has never met an unfiltered opinion without running it through a 12-stage approval process and checking it against a swing voter in Milton Keynes. So, of course, he panics.
Comrades, my name is Keir Starmer, and I'm here to fuck the foundations. When I became your Prime Minister, not only did I get new hair and glasses provided by a donor who now has full access to 10 Downing Street and my bedroom, we were promised 3 things. Number 1, we would be fully costed and fully funded. We're so fully funded and fully costed, we're essentially just like Katie Price, or HS2, or the public sector in Argentina pre-Milei, depending on your sense of humour. In order to make the £22 billion hole in the budget even worse, we have spunked a whole bunch of cash at train drivers and junior doctors. This guarantees 2 things. Number 1, they will vote Labour. Number 2, nurses and teachers will be on strike again by...
He does what Keir always does when faced with criticism. He blinks slowly, talks about serious leadership, and then proceeds to do absolutely nothing with military precision. It's not even the kind of tragedy you'd find in a Shakespeare play. This is more like burning your toast and then blaming the toaster for being cheeky and working class. Starmer spends all his energy trying to prove he's not Jeremy Corbyn, but in doing so, he's somehow become the human version of a blank Excel spreadsheet. Picture that: every formula broken, every cell just flashing to be continued, because apparently he's still trying to figure out what leadership actually means.
Morning, it's Keir here. My director of strategy, who's a right ginger, has said that I should explain our new policy on migration very simply. So before, we loved illegals. We couldn't get enough of illegals. Illegals, come, welcome. I helped bring them in. I put them in hotels. I also love a Rwandan. I love me a stubby Rwandan. In fact, I love all illegals because they are the ones that vote for us. So if you go to any of the Labour...
Meanwhile, Katie Hopkins strolls in like she just popped out for a coffee, not to deliver a verbal demolition. Watching her dismantled Starmer was like seeing someone pop a bouncy castle with one perfectly raised eyebrow. No effort, no smooth destruction. Starmer tries his usual mix of vague concern and mild disappointment. The same look he usually gives Labour voters when they ask too many questions, but it falls flat every time. That expression carries about as much emotional weight as a soggy tissue at a funeral and has all the authority of a substitute teacher begging a chaotic classroom for just 1 minute of quiet. This guy has turned being unclear into a full-blown performance. He's desperately trying to please the left-wing dreamers, the right-wing traditionalists, the centrist fence-sitters, the stargazers, moon-lovers, and probably even your grandma who bakes a great Victoria sponge. The result? A messy mix of, we must listen carefully, we must be brave, and we absolutely must not commit to anything unless it's gone through 3 focus groups in Doncaster first. It's like political Jenga, except he keeps pulling out the key pieces and then wonders why the whole thing falls apart.
Given that some of us truth-tellers are banned from British TV screens for telling too much truth, mentioning no names, I thought I'd give you a quick run-through of the British media landscape and who you've got holding the government's feet to the fire. But the cost of living crisis here in the UK is completely out of control. Prices are now rising faster than at any time in history. Energy prices are crippling ordinary homeowners, and wages don't have a chance of keeping up with inflation. And the best advice, it seems, coming from the Tory government, that the best thing they can offer is maybe you should work a bit harder, or maybe you should budget a bit better, or definitely don't ask for a...
Meanwhile, Labour's base feels like a mix between a disappointed parent and a customer who's been stuck on hold for 3 hours. They were promised change and got a man who makes Ed Miliband look like a thrill-seeker. Starmer has somehow made Boris Johnson seem exciting and Rishi Sunak look like he actually has emotions. And just when you think he might finally find his backbone, he drops it like a bar of soap in a prison shower. Every time someone asks him a direct question, he begins with, "Let me be clear," which is always followed by a confusing jumble of words and ends in a passive-aggressive shrug. It's not clarity, it's a political version of choose your own adventure. Keir's entire strategy seems to be, don't scare the horses, which might work if the horses weren't already charging toward a burning stable called the next election. But instead of grabbing the reins, he's offering them a well-organized Zoom call and a promise to review the committee that oversees change.
Keir Starmer has been in Italy with Meloni. So you've got a left-wing, radical left-wing human rights guy over with what would be labelled as far-right Meloni in Italy. Now, I appreciate there's a bit of excellent communication work by Keir's communication team. For that, they should be commended, but for lying to the British people, they share part of that odious guilt of not doing what you are appearing.
Now imagine just how completely unprepared he must have been when Katie decided to treat him like a human piñata. She didn't just hit a nerve shy, ripped out his entire nervous system and used it as a jump rope. And for the first time in a long while, people actually saw the real Keir Starmer, a man so allergic to confrontation. He probably asks his barista for a lukewarm latte of consensus. At this point, Keir's campaign slogans might as well be written in Comic Sans and laminated in meh, a fairer Britain, a stronger future, a slightly above-average Wednesday. None of it means anything and voters know it. He talks about economic responsibility like a high school student who just learned what a budget deficit is and now thinks they're the Chancellor of the Exchange.
There is a lack of trust. There's a sense of, well, no one's really representing me. I'd argue that around half this country, if you stopped and asked them in the street, as I do, would tell you there is no one in politics that actually comes close to representing anything people think about in the streets, ordinary people like me. I also think the country is very aware that we have a Prime Minister that we didn't even vote for. I mean, as if you want to underline the fact that people have no faith in a system, we have some sort of leader that none of us ever had a chance of.
Even Labour MPs are reportedly having to fake excitement about him behind closed doors. It's probably like a hostage video, with everyone blinking in Morse code, silently begging for a leader who actually knows what decade we're in. Every speech he gives is so lifeless. You half expect a PowerPoint slide to walk on stage and beg for mercy. He's the only politician who could stand in front of a crowd, deliver a passionate call to action, and still somehow trigger a synchronized yawn. Meanwhile, Katie's out here firing off tabloid-style venom with the energy of a wild raccoon and still managing to seem more real. That's how low the bar has dropped.
Old Billy Big Bollocks, Keir Starmer, says he's prepared to make some unpopular decisions. But beware of this, it's a sleight of hand. Because we can all live with some unpopular decisions. It would be unpopular not to give 11 billion to Africa if you're a massive greenie. It would be unpopular with the doctors if you decided to say, actually, we can't afford to pay you more, you get more.
And the worst part, he's still convinced he's playing 4D chess when really, he's just knocking over his own pieces and calling it a strategy. He thinks that standing still makes him look statesmanlike, but in truth he's just letting everyone else draw the map. And guess what? Katie Hopkins just drew one, and it has Keir's irrelevance circled in glitter pen. You know your leadership is in trouble when the guy meant to be prime minister can't even win an argument with someone who thinks nuance is a type of French cheese, and yet their Keir is blinking into the middle distance like a broken Alexa. If political competence were a pizza, Starmer's would be cold, missing toppings, and delivered to the wrong house. His leadership isn't man of the people, it's more like a middle manager at a dying blockbuster, still insisting DVDs are making a comeback. He's still holding on to the fantasy that if he's just boring enough, the Tories will collapse under their own mess and he'll quietly inherit the throne like a painfully dull royal.
Keir Starmer says he's going to
have a peace talk for Ukraine. Peace talks for Ukraine. Oh, yes, I'm going to have peace talks.
Yeah, so what did you do for the last 3 years? Oh yeah, bugger all. And now Trump's coming to fix the problem and you want some of his success? Please, you're like a tick on a bloody dog. The last time the EU leaders were together, they took their jackets off
in solidarity with Zelensky. Oh, do you think he'll take me up the ass?
We've never seen anything this gay since...
Unfortunately for Keir, the British public has eyes, and now, thanks to a right-wing flamethrower with a podcast, they've been forcibly opened. The illusion of safe hands is shattered, revealing a man still unsure if it's okay to have an actual policy just in case someone, somewhere, might find it offensive. Katie may have said the quiet part out loud, but she didn't create the problem. She just pointed a spotlight at it. Starmer's breakdown wasn't caused by her criticism. It came from realizing that the suit of armor he's been wearing all these years is made of tinfoil and wishful thinking, and now, under the heat of a single pointed insult, it's all melting dots, so here we are. Keir Starmer, once the great beige hope of the Labour Party, now reduced to a political ghost, haunting his own empty promises. No vision, no backbone, just a constant, desperate attempt to look serious, while doing absolutely nothing.